Doubleheader on Thursday Night Football. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons and the Indianapolis Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Who are the prospects of watching these games and who is going to walk out as the winners? We'll tell you next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I am the host of the Locked On Clemson Football Podcast. Guys, thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday. Thank you for being the family as well as our everydayers, man. But shout out to my guy, Mr. LSU, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on Twitter at The Talent Code. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst with the Draft Network, man, and 2019 national champ with those LSU Tigers, man. Yes, but you know why we're here, right? Myself, Damian Parsons, we are here to bring you that championship level content surrounding the NFL Draft 24/7, 365. And today we have Thursday Night Football on tap, right? We have a doubleheader, right? We have back-to-back. We have those Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons, and we're covering the Indianapolis Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And the Colts without Jonathan Taylor, which I'm going to get into that again, right? But DP, we're going to kick this thing off, man. We're going to talk about the Steelers, right? We're going to talk about, just that the team dynamic, what we like to do, right? And then what we're seeing, what we expect. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, right? They have young offensive combination with Desmond Ridder and Bijan Robinson, what we like, what we expect out of that situation. But before we get this thing kicked off, DP, why don't you go ahead and hit them with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Keith, Falcons versus Steelers, man, and the seeing Bijan last week in the game versus the Bengals, we knew we knew what to expect from Bijan, man. He's just that good of a player, that good of a running back. But Desmond Ridder, man, I don't know if if we're going to see those two again, along with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. But I just want to continue. I hope to see Desmond Ridder again, right? Last week, I think he looked solid in the start and everything. He was like 7 of 9, 80 yards. He had the interception and everything. So you want to see him, flip that from one pick to one touchdown and 0 interceptions. But I just want to see this young man get more reps, more time with those starters and everything, get ready for week 1. Because at the end of the day, like, no matter how good Bijan is, if Desmond Ridder does not play up to the level that they're going to need him to play at, this is not going to be a good season for the Falcons, and it's just not going to go the way that anyone would hope for. So I'm looking forward to and hoping to see more of Desmond Ridder, like I said, and those starters, man. But also, Mac Hollins is a guy I want to see more of. I saw the clips of him in training camp. Looks like he's been hitting the weights. He looks like a tight end, low key. So this is a team that, for me, just you got Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London, at the wide receiver position. But Keith is like, who else, right? And you're hoping for like Scotty Miller. Like to be wide receiver.
You would have loved, you would have loved for Calvin Ridley to still be on this team in some capacity, right? But he's not there.
I don't know.
Either somewhere around there. But I agree that the emergence of a Mac Hollins or somewhere of that nature, that used to have Russell Gage on his team. Right now he's with Tampa, and I think he just tore his ACL. Also, so you do want to see more weapons, right? You want to see more weapons, and you have a feeling that that's what it's going to have to be for Desmond Ridder to have that type of success, because I'm expecting, from the Atlanta Falcons, and hoping that they prove me wrong, but my expectations is a rather average offense, right? I don't know if I'm going to see different things, but the expectation is not to see a lot of different things. I do think, DP, that I'm pretty sure they picked up tight end from the Titans, right? And then where was he? And maybe he's then he went to the Patriots. Jonnu Smith, yeah. And so he's getting back with Arthur from when they was in when it was in Tennessee together. So I'm with the Falcons. I'm with you. I want to see more Bijan because I just like watching Bijan tote the rock, making people miss and things like that. But I do want to see this offense and just see more, just kind of see them unveil a little bit more. And like I want to be able to buy into what they're doing offensively. DP, can we switch to the Pittsburgh Steelers? If I say the Pittsburgh Steelers and we're talking about this game, what are you looking for? What are your expectations? Who are you trying to see? What are you looking for?
I would say, Keith, is low-key, do we need to see more Kenny Pickett? Like, Kenny Pickett out there, like, on his ball. He hit the Conor McGregor walk, after he threw that touchdown this past weekend and everything. I'm like, do we need to see more Kenny Pickett? But if so, if Mike Tomlin's going to give us more Kenny Pickett, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I want to see Calvin Austin on the field with Kenny Pickett. I want to see him on the field with Deontay Johnson if he's healthy, and if he's playing, and George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth and those guys. I want to see if they go to 11 personnel. I want to see more of Calvin Austin with those boys because, like we talked about, he's that different element than those two. You got the route runner, that's Deontay Johnson. You got Mr. Contested Catch, right? You got the power forward or center, whatever you want to call George Pickens. But who's your three-point shooter? Who's that? Who's that Steph Curry, that Damian Lillard? That could be Calvin Austin. And I think that I want to see more. I want to see him on the field with the starters just to get a good feel for that, as well as, my guy, I talked about him yesterday, man. But Nick Herbig, man, I want to see more of him as well. Off the edge, man. And I would love to see if they can find a way to get him on the field on third downs with T.J. Watt, with Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward, and everything like that. But of course, Joey Porter Jr., man, being the guy that he is, and coming off a game where he had the interception, playing well. You know what I'm saying? Last week. So I'm looking forward to seeing how JPJ continues to ascend and take that step forward in this defense.
Yeah, so you took two of my three guys. You took two of my four guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the other two, man. I want to continue to watch Keanu Benton, right? See what he does up front. And we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday with them, kind of going back to the same well. And while these guys, they didn't go to the same school, talking about Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward, right? They kind of cut from the same cloth, right? Those tough, physical, their pass rush is usually power, right? Is bull rushing people, is collapsing the pocket. So I want to see Keanu Benton just continue to take steps forward, man, because you're talking about those situations of handing the baton off, right? That's a hand the baton off situation, but that's also can we get both of those guys on the field? And then, like you said, you put both of those guys on the field, then now we can mix some things up with the combination of Alex Highsmith, T.J. Watt, and Nick Herbig, right? And then now you may only have one stack back, and then now you have this complex, front that could be, just very dynamic in what they could do. And Pittsburgh historically, right, all the way since the days of, Floyd Polamalu, they've always ran these kind of complex odd fronts, just different things. And so I want to see if they're able to do that. And I'm going to throw another big boy name up there. Not drafted this past draft, but draft before, and that's the Marvin Leal. Because we're talking about a 6'4", 300-pound defensive tackle at Texas A&M. This is a guy that I think he had, was it 8.5, maybe close to 9 sacks the year, that he decided to come out. And that was as an edge rusher, right? Like this guy, he's 300 pounds, but he played edge. I wanted to see him kick down with Pittsburgh, right, and being a more athletically advantageous situation by pass rushing against guards. Now, last year, DP, what happened was T.J. Watt got hurt, and I think that was it a Melvin Ingram situation also? I can't remember exactly what that situation was also. I think they wound up letting Melvin Ingram go, I think. I can't remember 100%. I know that Marvin – yeah, it was something like that. I remember they were down a couple edge rushers. And so the Marvin Leal, he had to play a lot more of the outside linebacker standing up, rushing off the edge. I don't want to see him there. I want to see if he can kind of kick down, play against the run, and like I said, put him in an athletically advantageous situation to give them a interior pass rush presence, right? And that's another name that you would throw into that bucket. And the reason you bring it up, DP, is because people are talking about after that one performance with Kenny Pickett last week with preseason, it's like, oh, or the Steelers, the sleeper people, the sleeper pick in the AFC now, because if Kenny Pickett can play well, this defense can get things going. But I think we've listed off 5 different young guys that I believe they're going to have to step up in order for this defense to live up to the hype.
No, 100%, Keith. I want to finish off on the defensive side of the ball for the Atlanta Falcons, man. Arnold Epiketti, D'Angelo Malone, two young edge rushers, along with Zach Harrison. They drafted him, Zach Harrison this year. I felt like it was a reach. I didn't feel like it was a good, pick to help your edge presence. I feel like with his tools and his build, he might be better off kind of rushing as a 3-tech, handing the dirt ahead of guards and stuff like that. But I'm looking out for those three edge guys, those three pass rushers. But, coverage wise, DeMarco Hellams, man, a guy, I think he had 2 interceptions last week in the game, man, showcasing his ability to play that kind of strong safety, play on top of the box, work downhill, things like that, the instincts, the ball skills. He's just always been kind of an instinctive, heady player, a steady Eddie, even keel type of guy. And I think with this, you could potentially see some 3 safety sets if he continues to play at the level that he's played at with Jesse Bates, him, and Richie Grant. You could see some three maybe some big nickel, big dime sets for the Atlanta Falcons in the regular season, especially with Jeff Okudah trying to work back from an injury.
Yeah, I like that, DP. I like those names. I like those guys listed. Also, hey, both of those teams have young players, that we said that's the reason you tap in, because you want to see those young guys emerge. They're playing for something. They're still approaching the preseason to play for their respect, right? Like they're trying to show that they belong in the NFL in the preseason. So that's why we cover the young guys throughout this, this process and leading up into the regular season games. DP, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go to the Indianapolis Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles, while the Philadelphia Eagles are trying to, repeat as NFC champions, right? And the Indianapolis Colts, they're trying to transition into the Anthony Richardson era. But we know that there's going to be guys, there's going to be young players that for both teams that are going to have to show up for both teams to make progress into the right directions, into the directions that they're trying to head into.
Guys, one of the most annoying and frustrating experiences I had was when LeBron James and company came to Charlotte and I was trying to get last-minute tickets. It was so hard to find the best price as well as competing with other buyers for this popular event. But I'm going to help you out. Game Time is the best way to find late tickets and buy those tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. It's fast and easy. Right now, if you are a Detroit Lion fans that live in Charlotte, or you're just a you're a Charlotte native and you love your Panthers, you can go see the last preseason game at Bank of America Stadium this Friday for $4 right now on the Game Time app. I love their flash deals and the last minute tickets that they have and how easy it is to view the images of the seats that they have available. So Game Time is the best place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance and all that. Game Time has the deals for the tickets that you need. So snag your tickets without the stress. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Indianapolis Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, there's a lot of young talent in this game. And, of course, I got to start with my guy, Anthony Richardson. He didn't play in week 2 of the preseason because of the joint practices with the Chicago Bears. And if this is the week, you want it because you don't want him to go through just one preseason game before regular season. So I expect him to play. And I just want to see him just continue to make strides, man. With his running ability, he may force defenses to play more zone, Keith. And if that's
so,
the case,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And not to cut you off, do you want to see him run the ball at all, or you don't care to see it at all in preseason?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm good. If I don't care to see any design stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if he drops back,
design.
if he wants to scramble, if it's available, go right ahead. You know what I mean? Like he had almost a 20-yard run, versus the Bills that was called back for a hold. It was like a 15-20-yard run that almost got them down to the 1, right? But that was a design run. That was a zone read play. I don't really need to see it. If you run it, cool, but it's not necessary for me. But if he drops back and you're playing man to man and the receivers are blanketed and you lose contain, hey, Rich, go do your thing, big dog. You know what I mean? I ain't even gonna hate on you. If you run 50 yards and get out of bounds, go do that, right? I don't want to see him doing too much of the Cam Newton stuff, running through guys, trying to stiff arm everybody, show how physical you are. No, preserve your body, get out of bounds. And if you're gonna lower the shoulder, it better be for a first down or at the goal line for a touchdown. I don't really care about none of the other stuff, but I just want to see him compound what he showed me on tape: the ability to diagnose, to read and react, dissect and find, quick options in the passing game, right? Getting the ball to Josh Downs and Isaiah McKenzie in the slot, read the option routes and everything, and attacking zone. Because again, like I said, if you play man to man with him, you have to be contained on the defensive line, or he's going to hurt you with his legs. So he may see more zone coverages, Keith. And if that's the case, show defenses that I'm a slice and dice your zone coverage, right? So I'm looking forward to that. I want to see Josh Downs on the field with him, Keith. To see that chemistry. Heard great things out of camp for with those two being on the field. I saw on tape how well he was able to get the ball to Isaiah McKenzie. I want to see that type of connection with Josh Downs.
Yeah, so I want to see, and it's not so much player, it's offense, right? Because the big news, the breaking news this past week, what the Colts have given Jonathan Taylor the opportunity to seek a trade, right? And so if Jonathan Taylor is not going to be there's going to be some disruption. If he's not going to, who knows, he may take that back and then just hold out, right? You have no idea what's going to happen. But without Jonathan Taylor, because we knew this was my expectations, DP, that year one, Anthony Richardson was going to be able to depend on Jonathan Taylor, hand the football off. They was going to be able to at least move forward, right? Then you mentioned Cam Newton, right? They was able to mix in some of those things with quarterback power, quarterback counter, things like that, read option. And because it's Jonathan Taylor, he's going to garner a lot more attention. So my question is this, right? When you move on from Jonathan Taylor, are you moving on? What are you moving on from? Is that just the salary? Is that a philosophy, right? As far as what you're thinking, or you transitioning into, hey, now we're about to get to the point where we're just going to ask Anthony Richardson to throw the ball 40 times a game. And then if that's the case, then the wide receivers, right? And then the offensive line has to be solid. So I'm going to watch this game, DP, to see, and it's preseason, right? But I still feel like when you watch it with the proper perspective, there are things you can pull from it. And I'm going to watch this game to be able to see just what, like, any telltales of what this offense could be, or like what is the identity of this offense going to be.
No, I'm with you, Keith. On the defense side of the ball, real quick for the Colts, man. Nick Cross, the safety out of Maryland, they drafted back in 2022. I want to see how far he's come as a player. He's played well. He started both preseason games, and he's looked good out there. You know what I mean? In terms of tackling, not missing any tackles, but also in coverage, playing. He's been kind of versatile in terms of his alignment and everything. So, playing in the box, playing some equal snaps at free safety, but then also walking down a little bit into the nickel as well at 6'2", 212, 215. I believe he was a good athlete coming out of Maryland as well. I just want to see how they continue to use him defensively, and just see his growth overall. But of course, Keith, for the Philadelphia Eagles, man, is Jalen Hurts playing? Because if so, I would like to see it. I don't want to see no more of Marcus Mariota. I am done. Okay, I don't. Yeah. The QB1 series is over. He's not on camera for them no more. We don't need to see him anymore. I'm just going to keep it a buck.
Dang.
I'm tired, Keith. The inaccuracy, the bad ball placement. Let's go ahead and end this nightmare where it's at. All right? Tanner McKee has looked better. Let's go ahead and put Tanner McKee as QB2.
I was going to say that.
Let Jalen Hurts get his reps.
You mentioned Jalen Hurts, and man, I just finished up Jalen Hurts because I'm putting everything together for my Patreon account. So y'all make sure that y'all look out for that, man. And I just watched 5-6 games, and yeah, Jalen Hurts the real deal. Like, any question about it, like that, like and so I want to see him a little bit, but the guy that I really want to see is Tanner McKee. Like, to be honest, I want to see Tanner McKee because you mentioned it last week. I think it might have been the Thursday show last week, right? It was like, hey, preview to Tanner McKee, and then he went out there and he played fairly well. I watched the game and I'm like, okay, this dude looks like he could potentially be an NFL guy, right? And so I want to see if he's able to follow up that performance and do, I guess you would say the same thing, right? Just go out there, have a repeat performance, because we talked about how schematically he may not necessarily fit in this. But, man, you talk about those other teams that may need a quarterback or trying to move on a transition. Like we said, he could be debuting for a job. And then if you flip the coin, DP, and you go to, I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the ball, because there was something else from the Philadelphia Eagles that was, I don't want to say concerning, but I'm sitting there like, I don't know. And that was that third wide receiver. And we talked about it. And then I watched the game, and it was some wide receivers it was drops. I'm watching drops. I think it was a wide receiver from Clemson. I can't remember exactly who it was on their roster, right? But he had a couple drops. You could tell, like,
Joseph Nata.
Yes, Joseph Nata. And you know, you could just tell timing was off. So that wide receiver 3 position is going to be very important for the Philadelphia Eagles. We mentioned it last week, and I don't think I got any closer to having any type of answers. So I'm going to be watching again to try to figure that thing out.
No, kid, I'm with you. I'm you know, matter of fact, I said the wrong name. I think it was Deion Kane from
Exactly
Clemson
who it was. That's
who
exactly
had the drop.
Yep.
If the starting teams out there, you know, of course, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, you know, just the normal names, right? Nolan Smith and everything. But Keith, like Marlon Tuipulotu, I think that's the brother of Tuipulotu. Like, listen, I don't know I don't know how deep this defensive line room is going to be for the Philadelphia Eagles on the 53-man roster. But for any reason that Marlon is dropped and he's cut because, you know, you can't, you know, he didn't make he's not high enough on the depth chart. Teams should be lining up for him, man, because he is disruptive. He's powerful, strong-handed. Can, you know, the little what's it called, the hump move that they made back in the day with my guy. You know, just man, this jumpy gathers when he played in the league. They're so. I remember watching. I think it was the Browns, and I wasn't even looking for Marlon. He just kept popping on tape, and I'm like, listen, man, I don't know what's gonna happen here. But this dude can ball, man. I'm watching out for him, but also your boy out of Alabama, Tyler Steen. You know what I'm saying? He's playing some guard, he's playing tackle. It's mixed results. You know, when he's at guard, I didn't like specifically what I saw with him at guard, but he looked solid at tackle. I do think that up top, I think his functional strength from the waist up has to get a little bit better. I just saw him kind of get driven back, you know what I mean, you know, on a couple reps. But other than that, I think he absolutely looks more natural at tackle rather than he does at guard. So I'm keeping my eyes on him, of course, you know what I mean, just to see how he continues to make strides. But a guy that I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, Keith, but one of my guys from CCU, Teron Jackson, man, you know, getting pressure, getting in the backfield. This is another guy that, you know, they have such a deep pass rush and defensive line group. If he doesn't make the team, somebody's going to come calling for this young man's services because he can get after it.
Yep, no, I agree. And I like that, DP. And so, man, with the Colts, like I said, I think my eyes are probably going to be a little bit more on the Colts versus the Eagles just because of the Colts situation and the dynamic part of the Eagles, right, with so many young guys. And then we didn't even talk about the cornerback room like we talked about last week, was trying to see who's going to make these 53-man rosters, man, because it's about to be
Sidney
cuts.
Brown going to make it, I can tell you that much.
He will be there, man. He will be there. I'm almost to the point where give him a certified stamp, a certified baller, right? Like, because I think
just start him.
Like, just go ahead and play him. Even if he messes up, just keep him on the field, man. But DP, we're gonna keep this thing going, man. We talked about the players, we talked about, you know, the perspectives, we talked about the, you know, the details of the rosters. Now we got to pick them, right? Who's gonna win the game? See if me and DP, see if we agree or disagree on who we think is going to win these, you know, these preseason games coming up next.
It's time to pick these games, pick them, winning predictions. And guys, you know, it's preseason, so, you know, I will check the tallies and the scores, and, you know, I'll probably tweet it out who's in the lead right now after I go back and check out. I'm
pretty sure I'm in the lead.
We'll see about that, Keith. We'll see about that. You know what I mean? But for these two games, man, you know, starting with the Falcons, Pittsburgh Steelers. This was Falcons are at home. Ooh, tough. I'm gonna go with the Dirty Birds. I think they're gonna protect home field. Desmond Ridder comes out, gives them a good, good couple drives early on, get on the board with the starting offense. If they do play, I think if they give him his 2-3 series, they get 10 points out of that. Go ahead and get the ball rolling for the backups to come in, and Taylor Heineke is a capable backup. You know what I mean? He's starting in this league. I think he's gonna be able to do his thing. I think the Steelers have Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. So I'm gonna go with Taylor Heineke and the backups to pull out this dub.
I think this is going to be a good backup quarterback situation with Mitchell Trubisky going against Taylor Heineke. That seems like a fairly average, like it's a balanced matchup. Shoot, that's tough. Man, because I'm gonna be honest, right? When you're talking about elite level teams, I'm not in love with the Falcons' depth. I think even they're not even their second string, their first string still has a lot of questions.
Right.
So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, because we talked about guys like Nick Herbig, DeMarvin Leal, Keanu Benton. I think all of those guys are going to play. Cam Hayward is not going to play that much. Keanu Benton is going to play. Like I said, DeMarvin Leal, you're going to want to figure that out. I can see Joey Porter Jr. getting a significant amount of snaps. So Calvin Austin, right? He's probably going to play. So I think that the Steelers just have a little bit of deeper roster to where more talent is going to be on the field for them.
I got you. And in the last game, we have the Indianapolis Colts going into Philly to play those Philadelphia Eagles, man. Keith, who you picking in this one?
Oh, this is the Eagles. Fly, what they say? Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm picking the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles. There's not too many teams I wouldn't pick the Eagles for. It's just too much. Like their depth, man. Like you said, Nolan Smith is not a starter, but he's probably going to play. And so he's going to be there until the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you even like the quarterback situation. Like you said, Marcus Mariota, let him snap it a couple times, then move on to Tanner McKee, right? And Tanner McKee looks good. He looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. The wide receiver situation, I definitely have concerns about with the Philadelphia Eagles, but with going against the Colts, I don't believe they had an offensive line depth. We're still trying to figure out their running back situation, I'm not fully confident. So I think the Eagles win this one because of their depth is better than the Indianapolis Colts depth.
No, I agree with you, on that as well, Keith. I think the Eagles is. The talent level is just incredible, man. And shout out to one of my guys who I believe is going to be a prominent member in that secondary. That's Josh Jobe out of Alabama. A young man. I don't know why he fell in the draft, and everything like that. He was talented, physical, press man guy, had good athleticism and everything. And he's looked good in the 2 preseason games as one of the starters out there, man. So I think when you look at just the like you said, the depth of this team, defensive line, linebackers, corners, safeties. That's just defense. Like that's just on the defensive side of the ball, man. So I think I think their second string offensive line, they got good talent there and depth there. Yeah. Tyler Steen and those guys, and of course, Tanner McKee playing quarterback. And the receivers, that is a question mark, but I think they'll be able to run the ball, and Tanner McKee be able to get the ball down the field and keep the ball in, keep the ball in the end zone. But you got Gardner Minshew and Sam Ehlinger. I think, that's solid, but, yeah, what I'm saying? I just, the depth, man, just looking at this Eagles roster, I'm just like, I don't see it. I don't see it, dog. So I'll go Philly, man. Fly, Eagles, fly.
It don't speak to you, man. It don't speak to you. But speaking of that, right, man, y'all make sure y'all speak to us, man. That wraps up today's show, but make sure y'all speak to us. Y'all tap in if y'all agree with our pick'ems, if y'all disagree. Matter of fact, let us know who y'all think are going to win these games, right? This is a family affair over here, man. Y'all tap in, y'all jump in with us, man. Respond to us because we respond back. We definitely appreciate y'all. Like always, man, shout out to our everydayers for tapping with us, with your boys, Keith Sanchez, Damian Parsons, on a Locked On NFL Draft Show.
Yes, sir. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it's available on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, but also hit the bell notification so you're notified every time we drop content on this channel. Guys, we got college football this week. It is week 0. Me and Keith will be talking on tomorrow's show on Happy Friday. We're going to preview week 0, the prospects that you need to know. That we're going to pick some of the games, all that good stuff. It's time for some football, ladies and gentlemen, for the next couple months. So enjoy yourself, strap in, get locked in, because we're about to really turn this thing up on this podcast. But as always, in terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me, Damian Parson, DP_NFL, Keith Sanchez at The Talent Code. Talk to us because we do talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.